I'm here to do my prediction video for Manuwa versus Anderson. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight is Lena, both these chicks have hard last names to say, versus Lucy. And to me, Lucy is just okay. I don't think she's great. I think Lena, she looks like a really good striker. She lost her debut to Cyborg, but, that was an okay striker going up against an amazing striker. I think Lena's going to bounce back and win this fight. Next is Bradley Scott versus Scott Askren. And Scott Askren, to me, these guys are both kind of on the negative side in the UFC. They're both like 2 and 3. But to me, Bradley Scott's fought the better people. And even in the losses, he's looked more competitive. I think he's also more well-rounded. I think he's got good striking and good jiu-jitsu. As where I think Scott Askren is basically just a striker. And I think what's going to happen is Bradley Scott's going to work this fight to the ground. And sooner or later, he's going to win by submission. Next is Ian Wetwhistle versus Brett Johns. And to me, Brett Johns is a really good wrestler, but his striking is also pretty good. To me, Ian Wetwhistle is just a jiu-jitsu guy with like heel hooks for the most part. I feel like Brett Johns is going to be able to keep this fight standing and probably win by knockout. I think he's a really solid up-and-comer, and Ian Wetwhistle is just a one-trick pony that's not really working anymore. Next is Leon Edwards versus Vincent Luque. And Leon Edwards could technically, I think he has the ability to win this fight. I think technically his striking is better. And I think wrestling, he's probably a little bit better of a wrestler. I think overall grappling-wise, Vincent Luque's better. I also think power and speed, Vincent's just a little bit better. It's a tough fight just because I do think Leon could technically outstrike him for the 3 rounds. But I'm going to go with Luque. I think he's just on a solid win streak and he's been looking better every single fight. I'm not sure if he'll finish him with a knockout, but I think sooner or later this fight will hit the ground. And I think when it does, Luque will win with like a choke, maybe like a guillotine or something. Next is Tom Breeze versus Olawog Bam. Crazy last name. Olawog, the black dude he's really good. He's a really good striker, but he gasses really hard if he can't get that finish really early. I still think Tom Breeze is one of the best up-and-comers right now at 170. I think he just was playing not the smartest game when he fought Sean Strickland. I think that in this fight, if he really goes after Bolawog and tries to just, tire him out with the clinch and stuff like that, I think he should be able to get a finish in the second round. He just needs to try to avoid letting Bolawog do whatever he wants in that first round. I think if he can just stay on him and try to gas him out with like clinch battling, he should be able to win by submission. Next is Mark Dienkeski versus Temu Packlin. And to me, this is basically striker versus grappler. And Mark is just like a first-round knockout guy, and if he can't get you out of the first round, I feel like he starts to gas really hard later. To me, Temu looks like he's a really solid grappler, and his striking looks decent. I feel like my biggest thing is that Mark is just not consistent. His conditioning isn't amazing, and I feel like the longer this goes, the better chance Temu has to get this to the ground and win him by submission. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think Temu survives early, and late third, he'll probably get a submission with like a rear naked choke or something. Next is Daniel Omielanchuk versus Timothy Johnson. And both these guys are good strikers. I think Daniel's definitely the better striker. But I think Timothy Johnson's just the more well-rounded guy. I think he's got the wrestling that's going to help him edge out every single round. I think striking-wise, these guys are going to be about even. But Timothy Johnson's going to hit the takedowns when he needs to. Do enough to edge out the decision by the end of the fight. And I say he wins 30-27. Next is Darren Stewart versus Francisco Barra, and these two guys fought once already, but Darren Stewart accidentally hit him with a headbutt or something like that. It caused an injury. I picked Francisco Barra the first time. I just think he's more well-rounded, and Darren Stewart's not the greatest overall, in my opinion. I think he's just an okay striker. And I think that's what's going to happen again. I think that Francisco Barra is just better overall. I think he'll be able to clinch with Darren Stewart, gas him out a little bit, and just win it by a decision. I think this fight's going to be boring, in all honesty. Next is Joseph Duffy versus Reza Madadi. And if Reza Madadi could get this fight to the ground, I think it could be a really close fight. But I don't know if he'll be able to. I'm pretty positive Joseph Duffy's going to work a lot on his takedown defense since the Poirier fight. And if this fight's standing, Joseph Duffy's like 5 levels higher than Reza Madadi's is when it comes to striking. I think on the ground it could go either way, but I don't think he's going to hit the ground that much. And I'm not sure if Duffy will be able to finish him, but I'm positive he'll be able to win a decision in this fight. Next is Arnold Allen versus Marwan Arkanov. And Merkwan, to me, he's a really, really good wrestler with really good submissions. He's a lot like Reza Madadi. And I feel like Arnold Allen's pretty decent everywhere, but I feel like he's primarily a grappler too. And I feel like if this fight's on the ground, I'm going to edge with Merkwan. And I just feel like his grappling, his submission game is better overall than Arnold's is. And I'd say wrestling-wise, these guys are probably pretty close. I just feel like sooner or later, Merkwan's going to end up hitting him with a submission because they're probably going to be grappling most of the fight. And this is how I see that's happening. Next is Brad Pickett versus Marlon Vera. And I'm really glad Marlon Vera stepped up to this fight because this is Brad Pickett's last fight ever. I feel like if Marlon Vera had more time to prepare for this fight, it might be closer. But in all honesty, striking-wise, Brad Pickett's like 3 or 4 levels higher than Marlon Vera is. And grappling-wise, I don't even think Marlon Vera has a huge advantage over him. I just think that's the best spot that he has to win. I don't think he has the wrestling to take Brad Pickett down. I think that Brad Pickett's going to be able to stuff the takedowns and find a knockout probably in the first round. I'm glad Brad Pickett's getting a fight, and he's probably going to win it. But you know, nothing to say about this. I'm just glad he deserves a fight, a good fight for his final fight. Next is Gunnar Nelson versus Alan Jouban, and striking-wise, Alan Jouban might be a little bit better, but I think grappling-wise, there's just such a huge fucking gap. Alan Jouban might have decent defensive grappling, but I think if Gunnar can get him down to the ground, then he's just going to be able to dominate this dude, and that's just what I see happening. I think Gunnar is really good at hitting like different types of takedowns. They're not like straight-up wrestler takedowns, which is why he's able to get them so much. Like, guys aren't expecting like the trips and shit he does. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Alan Jouban's going to get taken down sooner or later. And once he does, I think Gunnar's eventually going to set up a really solid submission. He's a really high-level black belt, in my opinion. I just see that Gunnar's going to win by submission whenever he takes him down. I don't know what rounds it's going to be in, but once he does, I think he'll win by submission. Next is Jimmy Manuwa versus Corey Anderson. And this fight depends 100% on how good Jimmy Manuwa's takedown defense has gone and his ability to get back up. Because striking-wise, I feel like if Jimmy Manuwa can stuff the takedowns, he'll be able to just run through Corey Anderson. Like, if he's not able to stuff the takedowns, then who knows. But I'm just going to put faith in the fact that I think, you know, he's been training a lot with Alexander Gustafsson, and Gustafsson has amazing takedown defense. I'm going to say Jimmy Manuwa, you know, he'll be able to stuff the takedowns, and then his just way superior striking is going to shine through, and I think sooner or later he's going to knock out Corey Anderson. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.